that the producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
And there is no resolution in sight for the Walt Disney Company when it comes to Snow White 2025 at the box office. This is exactly why Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, is in pure panic mode over not just the Rachel Zegler backlash, but the entire backlash surrounding this movie in general.
The moment Disney unveiled its live-action remake of Snow White, fans expected a modern spin, something fresh yet respectful of the original's legacy. What they got was an explosion of controversy led largely by lead actress Rachel Zegler's public comments. Accusations flew that she was dismissing the original story's central romance and the classic prince's role.
Just how once trusted critics that shilled for the Disney Company all the time, even they are beginning to turn their back against them. That's how bad this movie truly is. Even if you look at the IMDb rating score, that's when you really know how terrible this movie is and how it really hit rock bottom.
Viewers who adored the 1937 animated masterpiece felt personally attacked. This backlash grew faster than anyone at Disney anticipated, lighting up social media feeds with condemnation and fueling speculation that the company was drastically out of touch. In a matter of weeks, the conversation shifted from excitement to outrage.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Suddenly, Disney wasn't just pushing the boundaries of a fairy tale. It was perceived as scrapping the heart and soul of a cherished childhood classic. At first, the studio tried to contain the storm. PR teams scrambled with statements aiming to reassure fans that the film honored the spirit of the original. But the damage was done, and Rachel Zegler's off-screen remarks only fanned the flames further.
After one hell of a PR tour, Disney's live-action Snow White is finally, I know, you were wondering.
In Q&A sessions, she openly called the prince irrelevant, describing his presence as almost predatory. This choice of words, delivered so casually, became a flashpoint for debate. Anti-fan hashtags trended across platforms, pointing out that Disney was gutting its own legacy. The initial trailer, meant to generate excitement, instead magnified the controversy. Unprepared for such backlash, executives found themselves confronting daily outrage.
That despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
she's a good actress.
that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Wow. The ego on this girl is ridiculous. Wow.
Behind the scenes, sources say Disney's executive offices were thrown into crisis mode. Traditional Disney supporters, the kind who would line up for any live-action adaptation without question, began voicing doubts. Even some mainstream entertainment critics, typically tolerant of a modern reimagining, found it difficult to praise the radical changes to the Snow White story.
And you have parents looking at Disney being like, what are you doing, guys? This is supposed to be a place where magic happens, and all you're doing is indoctrinating kids, and you're having this person be the poster child of the Democratic Party.
Negative fan sentiment was so pervasive that it started to overshadow all marketing efforts. While the studio had planned a lavish promotional tour to showcase the cast and highlight the film's empowering themes, the plan backfired. Interviews meant to spotlight the film's progressive angle instead devolved into awkward sound bites. Insiders describe the atmosphere at Disney as tense and uncertain, with an urgent need to salvage not just one film, but the Snow White brand as a whole.
Look no further than what Disney is doing with their woke, DEI, feminist agenda.
The stakes couldn't be higher. Snow White, after all, was the first feature-length animated film that catapulted Disney to worldwide fame. If that legacy were tarnished, it could cast a shadow over the very foundation of the company's identity. Bob Iger, recognizing the depth of the issue, allegedly stepped in to demand a strategic overhaul. Salvaging viewer trust became priority number one. Rachel Zegler, initially hailed as a young talent with a bright future, found herself at the center of a polarizing storm.
Tell me if this is attractive to you. Like, does this, imagine you invested into her being the face of the movie, and she's the main character and she's trying to promote the movie. Would this make you want to go watch the movie when she's starring in it and she's the main character?
Some fans felt her public persona was overly confident, bordering on arrogant, especially when she reiterated her stance about how irrelevant Prince Charming was. The actress's statements triggered fury among purists who viewed the original story's romance as integral to Snow White's identity. Memes circulated online highlighting her quotes alongside clips from the original 1937 classic, fueling a narrative that she was mocking tradition.
She destroyed hundreds of millions of dollars worth of IP for Disney, but she also has destroyed her career and the careers of anybody who worked on the movie.
Zegler attempted damage control, insisting that her words were taken out of context. However, her critics pointed to multiple instances where she seemed to trivialize the themes of the original. Disney's internal marketing teams quickly realized that every new interview or social media post threatened to ignite more backlash.
The producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platform.
Rumors swirled that top brass wanted her to scale back appearances entirely, hoping to dial down the heat. For a time, it looked like the entire campaign was turning into a PR nightmare, overshadowing any positives the new film might have brought to the table. Amid the swirling controversy, Disney made a surprising announcement. They would be rebooting Snow White again, practically overlapping with their current adaptation's release cycle.
We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI dwarves. So we'll guarantee no employment for little people while getting rid of this other component that warranted CGI. It was the worst decision they could possibly make.
Industry analysts were stunned at the speed of this decision. Traditionally, a reboot or reimagining is a move reserved for a brand that has gone stale over decades, not mere months. Yet Disney, stung by the negative press and fearful of long-term brand damage, felt compelled to act quickly. Their official statement framed this new version as a tribute to classic storytelling. Unlike the Zegler-led film, which was pitched as a modern feminist revision, the reboot would focus on closely mirroring the 1937 masterpiece. Beloved aspects like the iconic dwarfs, the original musical score, and the fairy tale ambiance would return in full force. While the move was initially met with skepticism, would audiences want another Snow White so soon? Some longtime fans felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps Disney realized the value of tradition and was attempting to correct course before it was too late. Leaked documents revealed just how fractured Disney's internal processes had become. The marketing, creative, and PR teams for the first Snow White remake were reportedly pulling in different directions. One wanted to lean into the film's empowering for modern women messaging, while another worried that it alienated fans who simply wanted to see a live-action retelling of the familiar classic. Complicating matters further were test screenings that scored lukewarm at best. Early concerns about comedic timing, pacing, and the overall lack of the classic fairy tale charm were flagged, but attempts to pivot late in production only created more confusion. When the official trailer finally dropped, negative reception confirmed the test audience reservations. Fans wanted the timeless magic of Snow White, not a heavy-handed revision. This internal conflict ballooned into a full-blown crisis once the public latched onto Zegler's disparaging comments about the prince, intensifying the sense that Disney's version had strayed too far from its roots. Section 6. Financial fallout and merchandise. Flop, merchandise tied to Zegler's Snow White bombed, leaving Disney with a mountain of unsold dolls, apparel, and collectibles. Retailers who once banked on the unstoppable draw of Disney Princess merch slashed prices weeks into the film's promotional cycle. For a powerhouse like Disney, this failure signaled that the brand's once unchallenged status had taken a real hit. Industry commentators speculated that the negative fan sentiment extended beyond just movie tickets. Parents who disliked the film's messaging were also unwilling to buy related toys for their children. In a scramble to protect this cornerstone property, Disney turned its attention to the new reboot with renewed intensity. Executives feared that letting Snow White's reputation languish would damage the studio's identity, so they pushed an accelerated timeline for the second remake, aiming to overshadow the Zegler version as quickly as possible. Investors expressed concern about the financial risks, but Disney assured them that a properly executed, more faithful approach could resurrect the property's profitability and secure the loyalty of both nostalgic adults and new generations. Reconnecting with disillusioned fans is at the top of Disney's priorities. After watching countless YouTube videos and reading forums that declared the new Snow White a betrayal, the studio recognized it had to mend relationships. This time, they're playing it safe but sincere, The marketing strategy for the reboot focuses on how the story can evoke both nostalgia and fresh excitement. Teaser materials emphasize that classic songs like Someday, My Prince Will Come, and Hi Ho will be kept intact, even if they're updated with a modern orchestral flourish. Disney also plans to reach out directly to fan communities. Early invitations to test animations, special Q&A sessions, and behind-the-scenes sneak peeks are on the table. This approach aims to highlight that they're listening to feedback. By collaborating with longtime fans, Disney hopes to strike that perfect balance between authenticity and mild innovation. It's a calculated move. If the studio convinces the hardcore base they're honoring tradition, the ripple effect could restore the wide-scale goodwill that was recently lost. Amid the announcement of a newer, truer Snow White, Rachel Zegler's name has practically vanished from the conversation. Disney has not officially stated she won't return, but her absence from any mention of future projects speaks volumes. Industry insiders say the studio wants a completely fresh start, new cast, new press strategy, and certainly fewer damaging off-screen remarks. Zegler, for her part, has kept relatively quiet about the controversy, fueling speculation that she's distancing herself or being guided by her team to let the issue blow over. As the dust settles, Disney stands at a crossroads. Snow White is more than just another fairy tale adaptation. It's the bedrock of the entire Disney brand. The prospect of releasing two wildly different live-action Snow Whites so close together is risky, but the stakes are too high for half measures. The newly announced reboot aims to reunite audiences with the storybook wonder that defined the 1937 classic. Everything, costume design, musical composition, dialogue, thematic tone, is under scrutiny to ensure no misstep repeats itself. Will fans flock back? Many are cautiously optimistic. Online forums brim with comments from viewers who yearn for that nostalgic Disney aura. Others remain skeptical, feeling betrayed by what they saw as an outright dismissal of cherished traditions. But if the new team delivers a heartfelt, magical reimagining that captures the essence of the original's innocent romance and whimsical setting, the redemption arc could become one of Disney's most dramatic success stories. This isn't just about box office numbers. It's about reaffirming the studio's commitment to the fairy tales that shaped its reputation. In an era dominated by streaming giants and cinematic universes, a renewed Snow White could stand as a testament to Disney's ability to correct course, adapt when necessary, and ultimately preserve the timeless magic that brought the studio into everyone's living room in the first place.